How to separate your emotions from other people. This is one of the hardest questions that any of us has ever faced. For human beings live within the intricate web of society, where the words, actions, and even attitudes of others can become an undercurrent that sweeps away the inner peace we thought we were holding on to. Just one careless remark, a cold glance, or an inconsiderate criticism can be enough to keep us awake through the night. Worse still, we often hand over the power to govern our emotions to others, and then spend the whole day consumed by anger, sadness, or disappointment. We blame them for hurting us, yet seldom recognize that it is we ourselves who have allowed our minds to be dominated. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic sage, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That reminder has echoed across thousands of years, like a key unlocking the path towards spiritual freedom, the art of learning to separate our emotions from other people. For if we fail to do so, we will remain trapped in a constant state of reaction, reacting to praise, reacting to criticism, reacting to every little gesture of others. In such a state, we are not truly living. We are merely drifting like a boat tossed about by the storms outside. So, how do we stop being swept into that cycle? How do we, amid all the chaos, still preserve our stillness, like a mountain standing firm against the storm? The answer lies in Stoicism, a treasury of wisdom that has, for centuries, taught humankind how to master the mind, let go of what lies beyond our control, and safeguard tranquility in the midst of a turbulent life. Rule 1. Awareness of human impermanence. How can we separate our emotions from others if, deep down, we still see their presence as eternal? This is the trap most of us have fallen into. We grow attached, we build expectations, we construct relationships as if they would last forever. Yet one day, harsh reality knocks. Someone once close suddenly becomes a stranger. Someone once warm turns cold. Someone who once promised to stay for life turns away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "All things change, everything will fade. Like a river flowing without pause, life never stands still at one point." That reminder is not meant to make us pessimistic, but to awaken us. He wanted us to see that the very nature of life is impermanence. When we forget this law, we easily fall into the illusion that others will always keep the same feelings, actions, and presence toward us. And that illusion is the root of our suffering. Think back to a childhood friendship. As a child, you might have believed that a friend would stay by your side forever. You promised to grow up together, to share every step of the journey. But as time passed, each of you chose a different path. Distance, work, and new lives gradually faded the bond. At that moment, you may have felt a sense of loss, as if a piece of memory had slipped away. But if you looked through Stoic eyes, you would understand that friendship never lost its value. It was like a flower that bloomed and then withered. Its brevity is what made it precious, what turned its memory into a sacred part of your life's journey. The Stoic does not deny the pain of losing someone, nor do they pretend not to feel sorrow, but they know how to place sorrow into its natural context. Seneca once said, "When you hold someone in your arms, remember they do not belong to you. They are only given to you temporarily." This is not coldness, but clarity. When we realize that everything is temporary, we no longer cling in despair when someone leaves. Instead, we cherish them while they are here and remain serene when they are gone. An ancient Greek story illustrates this well. A student placed complete trust in his teacher, who taught him lessons in philosophy and character. But then, due to political turmoil, The teacher was wrongly accused and exiled. The student was devastated, enraged, and bitter at the injustice. He wanted to rebel, to take revenge. But he remembered his teacher's words, "You cannot control my existence. You can only control how you continue to live." Gradually, his anger eased. The pain of loss remained, but instead of turning into hatred, it became motivation to keep studying and living with virtue. He realized that even the person he most revered could not stay forever, and that awareness brought him peace. In modern life, this lesson is everywhere. When a relationship ends, we often ask, why did they change? But if we understand the law of impermanence, we accept that human emotions are in constant flux. That very change is the true essence of love. When a once friendly colleague turns distant, we need not see it as betrayal, but simply as a shift in the relationship, a natural testament to change. When a loved one passes away, instead of letting loss turn into despair, we can see it as a reminder of the value of the present, to love more deeply while we still have the chance. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Do not complain that you have lost something precious. Be grateful that you once had it." That is the attitude of a free soul. Impermanence, when rightly understood, takes nothing from us. It simply teaches us to see things as they truly are. It gives us the courage to let go and the tenderness to love fully while we can. When you grasp this truth, you no longer place your happiness in the hands of others, for you know that sooner or later they will change, and you cannot control that. But you can control how you face it, how you appreciate it, and how you let go. The Stoic lives by this awareness. They do not seek eternity in people, but steadiness in their own mind. Thus, they can love without fear, bond without attachment, and remain serene even in parting. Lesson: when you deeply understand the impermanence of human beings, you learn to appreciate what you have instead of despairing when it disappears. And that very awareness is the first step in separating your emotions from the influence of others. Rule 2. You cannot control others, only yourself. Perhaps one of the greatest mistakes we often make is trying to control other people. We want them to love us the way we wish, to behave in the way we think is right, to say words that make us happy, and to avoid actions that might hurt us. But the harsh truth is this: you can never control anyone but yourself. And when you forget this, you turn yourself into a hostage of the behaviors, attitudes, and emotions of others. Marcus Aurelius once emphasized, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that what others think, say, or do lies completely beyond your control. You may hope, you may expect, but you cannot force. The only thing you truly command is how you react, your choice of attitude and action in the face of circumstances. Picture this. You are having a peaceful day, everything is flowing smoothly. Suddenly, a colleague makes an unreasonable criticism during a meeting. Instantly, your heart races, your face flushes, and anger flares. In that moment, you stand at a crossroads. Either let anger take control, snap back harshly, and regret it later, or take a deep breath, listen to the whole remark, and respond calmly. You cannot stop your colleague from saying what they think, but you can absolutely choose your response. That is where your true power lies. Epictetus, another great Stoic, taught, "It is not things that disturb people, but their judgments about things." This turns our perspective upside down. It is not the criticism that hurts you, but your permission for it to do so. It is not another person's behavior that ruins your day, but your reaction that gives them that power. In daily life, countless examples show this truth. When stuck in traffic, an impatient driver honks relentlessly. You could fume, curse, and carry that frustration home, or you could shrug and think, "That horn cannot decide my mood." When a stranger insults you online, you could lose sleep, arguing, or you could simply ignore it and save your precious time for loved ones. When a family member lashes out in anger, you could respond with rage, or you could choose silence and compassion. The Stoic understands, the more we try to change others, the more disappointment we invite. They are shaped by their experiences, their character, and forces beyond our reach. Instead of seeking control, learn acceptance. The only thing worth focusing on is your reaction, for that alone belongs to you. There is a story of a Roman general. At a banquet, a drunken soldier insulted him in front of many. The crowd waited for the general to explode, even to punish the soldier to preserve honor. But he merely smiled, poured the soldier another cup of wine, and said, "He is only revealing his nature, and that does not change mine." That is the power of Stoicism, refusing to let another's behavior invade your inner peace. If you look closely, you will see this truth. Every irritation comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. We want others to be punctual, but they arrive late. We want them to be kind, but they are rude. We want them to understand us, but they remain indifferent. When we tie our happiness to their behavior, we enslave ourselves. Marcus Aurelius advised, "When someone behaves badly, that is their problem, not yours. They act according to their nature. Let you act according to yours, the good one." This is a profound reminder. You do not need to change others to find peace. Peace comes from staying true to your own values, no matter how chaotic the world outside may be. So how do we practice this? A simple way is to always ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, act. For instance, you cannot control what others say about you, but you can control whether you believe it. You cannot control another's attitude, but you can control your own composure. When you apply this principle, you will discover a strange kind of freedom. Others may speak, may act, may change, but they cannot touch your inner peace unless you allow it. And once you know how to keep the key in your own hands, you will no longer hand your emotions over to others so easily. Lesson: you can never control others, but you can always control yourself. By accepting this truth, you reclaim the greatest power of your life, the power to master your reactions, and from there, the power to master your happiness. Rule 3. Do not let emotions become chains. Have you ever let a careless remark turn into a wound in your heart? Have you ever stayed awake all night, replaying a criticism or a dismissive gesture over and over? If so, you've experienced what it feels like to be bound by your own emotions. Emotions are a natural part of being human, but if we fail to master them, they become invisible chains, dragging us through exhaustion and suffering. The Stoics understood this very well. They did not deny emotions, nor did they suppress them by pretending to be numb. They acknowledged emotions as waves coming and going, and learned to stand firm like a rock, unmoved by the tide. Epictetus once warned, "He who angers you conquers you." He did not mean that feeling anger makes you weak, but that in those moments you hand over control of your mind to someone else. Imagine a familiar situation. You post a picture or thought on social media. Among dozens of compliments, there is a single negative comment. Instead of remembering all the encouragement, your mind fixates on that one remark. It replays in your head, stirring anger, frustration, and sleeplessness. Do you see what has happened? In that moment, you are chained not by the other person, but by your own reaction. You've allowed meaningless words to dictate your mood and drain your energy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone insults you, remember that it is only words. They cannot touch your soul unless you allow them in." This reminder acts like a shield for the inner self. Others may hurl harsh words, but only when you open the door can they enter. There is a story told of Marcus himself. In court, someone slandered him with venomous words. His attendants waited for him to erupt, to punish the man and assert authority. But Marcus calmly replied, "If he truly knew how flawed I am, he would have said much more." That answer was both humble and powerful. It showed a man who refused to be ruled by impulsive emotion, but instead protected himself with composure. In daily life, freeing emotions from becoming chains can begin with simple steps. Each time anger arises, pause and name it. This is anger. When sadness appears, this is sadness. When anxiety stirs, this is anxiety. By naming it, you create a small distance between yourself and the emotion. That distance is the key to not being swallowed whole. Another method is to ask, will this really matter a year from now, 5 years from now? Most of the things that steal our sleep are minor bumps that will soon vanish. Placing them in a larger frame makes our anger look trivial, unworthy of more energy. Emotions are like fire. If used wisely, they warm, illuminate, and motivate. If neglected, they burn everything down. The Stoic chooses to keep the flame in a lantern lighting the path, not consuming the bearer. In today's world, where we face dozens of opinions, hundreds of glances, and countless clashes every day, keeping emotions under control is more vital than ever. You cannot stop people from criticizing, but you can stop yourself from exploding. You cannot force others to be kind, but you can choose to remain calm. You cannot forbid the world from irritating you, but you can refuse to let irritation become chains that bind you. Lesson: emotions are companions, not jailers. When you learn to observe, name, and direct them, you break free from invisible chains. And in that freedom, no matter how hard others may try, they cannot imprison the peace within you. Rule 4. Practicing inner distance. There is a truth we have all experienced. When criticized, our first reflex is to retaliate. When belittled, our instinct is to resist. When hurt, our natural reaction is to put up defenses. Yet, those reflexes often deepen the pain, pulling us further into cycles of exhaustion. The Stoics taught that to break free, one must cultivate a vital skill, the practice of creating inner distance. Inner distance is not escape, nor is it emotional numbness. It is the ability to pause, to take a step back in the mind, to observe an emotion rather than chase after it. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived concentration camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." His insight echoes Stoic philosophy from millennia earlier. Imagine you are in a meeting. A colleague interrupts, dismissing your idea in front of everyone. Immediately, your chest heats up, your throat tightens, and a rush of counterattacks floods your mind. If you react instantly, the meeting may spiral into an argument, and the irritation will linger with you all day. But if you take a deep breath, pause for 3 seconds, and ask, does this reflect his character or mine? You create an opening. That simple question is inner distance. It allows you to see from a higher vantage point, not through impulsive eyes, but with clarity. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, if it is not true, ignore it. If it is not kind, do not say it. This counsel serves as a reminder that not every reaction needs to be carried out, not every word deserves a reply. Real strength is not found in striking back quickly, but in pausing, choosing wisely, and acting in alignment with your values, not external provocation. A Roman tale illustrates this. A general was publicly insulted by a soldier in a tavern. Everyone waited for him to unleash his anger, to punish and assert dominance. Instead, he quietly finished his drink and left. When asked why he did not retaliate, he replied, "If a dog barked at me on the road, would I need to bark back?" What sounded cold was in fact mastery. He created a distance between himself and the insult, keeping it from entering his soul. In modern life, practicing inner distance is more crucial than ever. Each day, we face hundreds of stimuli, emails, messages, comments, glances, gestures. If we react immediately to all, we live in constant reactivity, drained and uncentered. But if we pause, observe, and respond selectively, we preserve energy, calmness, and clarity. How can we train this skill? Breathe deeply. Before reacting, take a few breaths. Breathing itself is a powerful tool to carve out space. Observe emotions. See emotions as clouds drifting by, not commands that must be obeyed. Ask yourself, is this really important? Is it worth losing my peace over? Choose silence when needed. Silence is not weakness. Often, silence is the pinnacle of self-mastery. Inner distance is a discipline that requires daily practice. At first, it feels difficult, for human instinct is to react at once. But with practice, you will feel stronger. Not stronger because you overpower others, but because you have overcome your own impulsive emotions. Lesson: inner distance is the space of freedom in the mind, where you hold the power to choose your response. When you pause, observe, and act consciously, you are no longer a slave to emotions. From that moment, you truly become the master of yourself. Rule 5. Choose peace over being right. There is an ironic truth about life. Most of the conflicts we get entangled in do not arise from great issues, but from the desire to prove ourselves right. In a debate, we strive to win even over trivial matters like which road is faster or which movie is better. But after each victory, are we truly at peace? Or do we leave behind tension and distance, both within ourselves and with others? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You can remain silent and let them be wrong, so long as you still live rightly." His words teach an art of living that seems simple, yet is difficult to practice. Choosing peace over being right. The Stoic is not someone who avoids truth, but someone wise enough to distinguish between what is worth fighting for and what is better left alone. Picture this familiar situation. At a family meal, someone says something inaccurate. You know the truth and feel compelled to correct them. You speak up, they resist. What began as a warm gathering becomes a drawn-out debate. The result? Perhaps you proved yourself right, but the atmosphere is soured. You won the argument but lost harmony. In that case, did you truly win? Seneca once wrote in a letter, "The wise do not waste time proving themselves right. They use time to live rightly." This is not the abandonment of truth, but a matter of priority, valuing inner peace over the fleeting satisfaction of victory. In modern life, we see endless debates on social media. A single post, a single opinion, and suddenly hundreds of heated comments follow. But in the end, does anyone truly change their perspective? Or do we all simply grow more irritated, weary, and estranged? The Stoic would ask, does this help me live better? Is it worth sacrificing peace? If the answer is no, they choose silence. It is important to understand, Choosing peace does not mean surrender or weakness. It is wisdom in selecting battles. At times, we must speak up to defend core values, justice, or dignity. Yet in most situations, the arguments we engage in stem from ego, from the urge to assert ourselves. When we learn restraint, we do not lose strength. On the contrary, we demonstrate mastery. There is a story about Socrates. Once, a neighbor insulted him harshly in a crowded marketplace. Socrates listened, did not respond, and walked away calmly. His students asked, "Master, were you not angry, being insulted in public?" Socrates smiled. "If a donkey kicks you, must you kick it back to prove yourself right?" His answer was the pinnacle of choosing peace over being right. In daily practice, you can start with 3 steps. Pause before arguing. Ask yourself whether proving yourself right really matters in the long run. Consider the cost. Is your rightness worth trading relationships or the peace of both yourself and others? Choose silence when needed. Sometimes silence is the wisest response of all. Choosing peace over being right is a difficult journey, for the ego constantly whispers, "I must win." But if you are mindful, you will realize the peace of your soul is more valuable than any debate. And when you learn how to lose in the small things, you truly win in life. Lesson: the true winner is not the one who always proves themselves right, but the one who preserves peace in every situation. By choosing peace, you not only free yourself from the cycle of conflict, but also separate your emotions from the control of others. Holding your own key. We have walked together through the 5 Stoic rules for learning how to separate our emotions from others. Each rule is like a lantern shining on the challenging path of life. From recognizing human impermanence, understanding the boundary of control, mastering emotions, practicing inner distance, to choosing peace over being right, all converge on one central point: returning to you the power of mastering your own mind. Take a moment to look back at your life. How many times have you let others decide your mood? One criticism that ruined your whole day. One cold glance that made you doubt yourself. One insult that kept you awake in anger. All of these moments share one thing in common. You handed over the key to your soul without even realizing it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You can keep your peace of mind if you do not let what is outside penetrate your soul." That is the essence of freedom. Freedom is not found in controlling the world, but in controlling yourself. Others may act unjustly, say false things, or leave you at any moment, but they cannot touch your peace unless you allow them to. From this perspective, separating emotions from others does not mean becoming unfeeling. On the contrary, it allows you to love more genuinely, because when you are no longer afraid of being hurt, you can love wholeheartedly. When you no longer cling in despair, you can cherish every moment of presence. When you no longer need to win or lose, you can live true to your values. The world outside will always be chaotic. There will always be those who praise, those who criticize, those who come, and those who go. You cannot stop them from changing, but you can choose how you walk. Like a ship on the open sea, you cannot command the wind, but you can command the sails. And when you know how to hold the rudder steady, you will no longer fear the storm. Remember, peace is not a gift given by others, but the fruit of inner discipline. Each time you pause before reacting, each time you let go of a meaningless argument, each time you cherish a fleeting moment, you step closer to spiritual freedom. Ultimately, perhaps the most important lesson Stoicism offers is this: you cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. And when you hold firmly to that, You become a mountain in the storm, steady, calm, unshakable. You do not need anyone to prove your worth. You do not need the outside world to arrange your peace. You are the keeper of the key, and when you hold it yourself, no one can ever take it away.